welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to add to the litany of content on the Louis Vuitton Speedy 30 bag. I'm going to give you my thoughts about whether it's worth buying, considering, or whether you should avoid it entirely. Now, I've borrowed this Speedy from a friend who has several bags, and she's had this bag for several years now. And as you can tell, it is in reasonably good condition, notwithstanding being several years old. But she has several bags that she alternates between, which might partially explain that. Now, if you have any thoughts about the Speedy, drop those in the comments below, and otherwise, of course, it would be great if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, my overall thought about the bag is that it is quite reasonably good quality, because Louis Vuitton bags are generally good quality. However, it is reasonably expensive for a canvas bag compared to other brands, of course not compared to Louis Vuitton, but of course other brands, and it only has leather highlights as opposed to leather as the shell. Furthermore, while it is acceptably practical with a decent amount of storage space, you're probably going to want a divider within the bag to organize your things, and B, it won't fit a laptop. So it is decently practical if you only want to put a wallet in there and some other things. If you really need a laptop or other technology in there, you're going to want something like a Neverfull or a tote bag of some kind, something that is not a Speedy and is bigger than a Speedy. However, it is acceptably practical. It is also reasonable value for money because these bags tend to hold a decent amount of value, being part of the core Louis Vuitton collection of bags. So it of course is one that is going to be not an investment piece, of course, but something that's not going to be dire in terms of losing tons of money after you've purchased it. So overall my thought is that you should consider it, but of course subject to some caveats and subject to it needing to meet the use case that you need for your bag. So with that in mind, let's explore the bag a little bit further and go through some of its quirks and features, to borrow a phrase, and also go through its quality and just my general thoughts about the bag. So let's have an explore through the bag. Now, I'll start off by just going through the basic materials and then we can dig deeper into the quality and what actually the bag is. So in terms of the basic materials, it is a canvas material here. You can get it in various different designs and you can also get it in leather. Now, this particular design is effectively a checkerboard material. Of course, they have a rather more fancy name for it, but it's effectively checkerboard, with Louis Vuitton in various little squares here. You can also get the canvas in the monogram material and canvas in various different shades, so you can get lighter shades as well. However, I would caution you that the lighter shades tend to age worse, because with the lighter shades, you tend to have lighter handles here, and lighter handles tend to pick up wear and tear much worse. Now, in terms of the rest of the material, the rest of it is leather, so the handles here are leather, there's leather accent. Now, on the inside, effectively, it's a fabric inside. The fabric tends to be quite bright, this one is red. Also inside, you have effectively a zipper here that's kind of a bit like a pouch, obviously it doesn't disattach, and you have some leather highlights. So leather highlights in terms of this portion here, the entrance to the minor pouch here, where you're going to be able to store very small things if you just want easy access to them. So coins or keys or whatever it is. So in terms of the shape, the bag is effectively a house shape, is how I'm going to call it. I'd also call it a cake shape, whatever you want to call it. So it's 30 centimeters long, which is a reasonable length if you want to store just general things. But it obviously is not going to be laptop sized, as is pretty obvious from the shape of the bag. So it's 30 centimeters long. It's around 21 centimeters high and 17 centimeters across. Now, when you do the math on this, it's going to give you a volume of about 9 liters. It does not look like 9 liters, but that's what the volume is. You can basically do that by taking at the bottom here a rectangle, the top portion here is effectively a semicircle, do the multiplication through, and you're able to get the volume of the bag. Now that's just rough calculation, you can get it more accurately. I don't think anyone is really using this to carry water, so I don't think it really matters. Alright, so that's basically what the bag is. Now in terms of quirks and features, there really aren't many. Basically what you have here is you have a pouch inside. In addition to the pouch inside, you have effectively a storage space. There's nothing particularly remarkable about the storage space. The pouch here, you can keep things like keys, coins, whatever it is. Now we can turn our attention to practicality. Now in terms of practicality, it is reasonably large, but the actual dimensions are only somewhat usable. It's reasonably large, of course, at 30 centimeters long, 21 centimeters high, 17 centimeters across. So 9 liters or so of volume here. However, there are some caveats you want to bear in mind. The main caveat here is that the top portion of the bag is effectively a circle, so it's not going to be a gigantic oblong into which you can put things. And this, to some extent, limits how much space you're going to have in here. Furthermore, it's not exactly organized inside. While there is a small pouch into which you can put things, the rest of the inside of the bag is not organized. So you're either going to A, be stuck with stuff moving all around, or B, you're going to have to get an organizer. Now, thankfully, there's no shortage of places that will sell organizers. So as one example here is one organizer that one can get. One can get many of these from myriad places. So eBay, Etsy, wherever, you're going to be able to find organizers. Now these organizers basically enable you to put stuff into various compartments within the bag. Now this one in particular is from KD Australia, but I mean it really doesn't matter, there's a lot of them. So if we put the organizer in, it takes a little bit of effort to get it into the bag, but I mean it's not that impossible to do so. And you just put it into the bag, and then you can basically organize your stuff in here, which is pretty helpful if you basically want to be able to use it day to day and avoid things wandering around. So with this organizer in here, we basically have a couple of components on the side here, and you basically have some pouches on the side into which you can put random stuff. And then as well, it will also help to keep its shape while you're holding it around. Because one issue with the Speedy is it might sometimes collapse in on itself if you don't have something in there to enable it to keep its shape. So to visualize how much this can actually fit in it, let's use the currency of 2020, being rather large toilet paper rolls. Now these are extra large rolls, so obviously your mileage is going to vary. But let's see how many we can fit in here. So you can find out you can actually fit quite a lot. So if we just sort of bury these in no particular order, I've got 2 so far. Now I can add a third one in, hopefully a third one in, and we can sort of start piling them up. So far, I've got about 4. Now, we can see that it's getting a little bit squishy here. I'm starting to have to kind of squish these toilet paper rolls together. But so far, I've got 4 in here, and I still have some spare space. And it will still close up. Now, notably, if I put more in here, it won't close, but with 4 in, it's going to close perfectly well, and it will be kind of comfortable in terms of how full it ultimately is. However, we could probably fit a tiny bit more in. So we put 1 more in, we'll see that it will still kind of fit, but it's not going to close properly. So basically you're looking at 4 toilet paper rolls plus a little bit is a good way of thinking about how much is going to fit in here. Or we can potentially think about it in other ways. We've got 4 toilet paper rolls, and then maybe in addition to that you could fit a water bottle, or maybe you could fit a shoe, or whatever. So if we have a look at fitting a shoe in here, we can fit 4 toilet paper rolls, and potentially a shoe. Of course, that shoe doesn't quite fit in here, so we've got 4 toilet paper rolls and 3/4 of a shoe. So that's a very practical way of measuring it. Basically, you can fit quite a decent amount in here, however, it's not going to be as large as something like a Neverfull. So let's talk a little bit about quality. Now, when we're looking at quality, we're basically looking at the feel of the various parts of the bag, and we're also thinking about how hard the bag is going to wear. i.e., is it going to wear out really quickly? Is it going to discolor? What's the case? Now, this particular bag is several years old, and you can see it is still in very good condition. This is largely because the particular owner has several bags that she alternates between, so that helps a lot, but also it's been very well cared for in a dust bag, so it has actually had a reasonably cushy life as far as bags go. Now, things to watch out for in terms of wear are the canvas wearing out, in particular wearing out at the bottom. What you can see is at the bottom it does not have studs, so basically if you rest it on things, the canvas can wear out. That is something you're going to want to bear in mind if you're looking for used ones. Another area that you'll get common wear is going to be on the handles here. Now these particular handles are in very good condition, but if you're buying used, you're going to want to look for is there wear across the top of the handle, but also directly underneath the handle, where sometimes people will have wear around these handles if they A, haven't taken good care of it, and or B, have used it a lot. Now in terms of the rest of the quality, the metal itself is decent quality. You can tell that the metal will tarnish, but it is acceptable enough. I'd say there's nothing hugely remarkable to say about the quality of the metal for the zipper or the various other parts of the bag here. So the highlights of the bag in terms of that metal, it really isn't going to be particularly unusual quality. Now what about value for money? Now in terms of value for money, new, these are approximately $1,700 if you get the one without the strap. They're about $2,200 if you get the one with the strap. That's in Australian dollars. You can get them online and used for upwards of 900 Australian dollars. 900 is about the lowest I've seen for something of decent quality. Now you can get them at auctions for marginally less than that, but basically that's what you're looking at in terms of price. Now, when it comes to used ones, you would need to look out for what's the wear like on the bottom, is there discoloration on the canvas, and are the handles properly colored. However, you can get them used if you'd want to. Now what this implies with the prices is the prices tend to hold up okay. Basically, Louis Vuitton will keep increasing prices over time. They do not have sales. By virtue of not having sales, it basically means that after 5 or so years, probably you'll actually be able to sell your bag for what you paid for it, given that they seem to increase prices more than the rate of inflation, meaning that they hold their value better than most brands. It's not to say that you're going to make a profit on it, but you're going to perhaps have value remaining reasonable compared to many other brands on the market. So overall value for money is quite good. What are my overall thoughts on the Speedy? Should you buy it? Should you shortlist it? Should you avoid it? Well, in my opinion, you should shortlist the bag. In part, that's because it isn't necessarily as convenient and as practical as something like a Neverfull, but it's a different shape from a Neverfull. It's been on sale forever, telling you that it's part of the core Louis Vuitton set of bags, and it tends to hold its value reasonably well. Furthermore, the quality for Louis Vuitton bags is generally quite good. Now that's not to say it's perfect in that it's expensive for a canvas bag, but it is still quite reasonable quality. The bags don't tend to break that much if you take reasonable care of them. It also has an acceptable amount of volume in it, in that you can see it's a reasonably large bag, so it's going to be acceptably practical. And overall, it's going to be a decent option if you want something that can carry a reasonable amount of stuff, but you don't need it to carry your laptop, and you don't need it to be like a clutch-sized bag for going out at night. Basically, it kind of fits into that middle ground where you can store like a wallet in it and some other stuff without necessarily needing to take a huge bag to carry all of that. So those are my overall thoughts on this Louis Vuitton Speedy 30. If you have any thoughts about it, drop those in the comments below. Otherwise, it would be brilliant if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel.